From the PEP Radio Newsroom, these are the stories we are covering at this hour. At least 3 more top CDC officials have resigned. Dr. Susan Monaris's departure coincides with at least 3 more resignations. Dr. Deborah Howry, the agency's deputy director. Dr. Daniel Jernigan, head of the agency's National Center for Emerging and Zoonotic Infectious Diseases, and Dr. Dimitri Daskalakis, head of its National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Diseases. In an email seen by an AP reporter, Howry lamented the damaging effects on the agency from planned budget cuts, reorganization plans, and firings. I am committed to protecting the public's health, but the ongoing changes prevent me from continuing in my job as a leader of the agency, she wrote. She also noted the rise of misinformation about vaccines during the current Trump administration and alluded to new limits on CDC communications. In a different email, Daskalakis wrote, I am no longer able to serve in this role any longer because of the ongoing weaponization of public health. The FDA has approved an updated Pfizer COVID shot, but there are limits to accessing it for some kids and adults. U.S. regulators approved Pfizer's updated COVID-19 shot Wednesday, but with limits that could complicate access for millions of American adults and children. Pfizer said in a release its vaccine is now approved for all seniors to protect against the virus this fall. But the Food and Drug Administration narrowed its use for younger adults and children to those with at least one high-risk health condition, such as asthma or obesity. That presents new barriers to access for millions of Americans who'd have to prove their risk, and millions more who may want to get vaccinated and suddenly no longer qualify. This year's updated vaccines target a newer version of the continuously evolving virus and are set to begin shipping immediately. But it could be days or weeks before many Americans know if they'll be able to get one, with access dependent on various decisions by federal health advisors, private health insurers, pharmacies, and state authorities. The new restrictions previewed by FDA officials in May are a break from the previous U.S. policy for which recommended an annual COVID-19 shot for all Americans aged 6 months and up. Meanwhile, Indiana lawmakers are considering redrawing congressional maps after White House meetings. Indiana's legislative leaders met privately with Donald Trump in the Oval Office to discuss redistricting, according to an Indiana House spokesperson. The Trump administration is pushing Republican states to redraw their congressional boundaries to give his party an advantage in the 2026 midterm elections. Vice President J.D. Vance also spoke to numerous Indiana lawmakers about the subject on Tuesday. Some Indiana lawmakers have expressed hesitation and opposition to the idea, while others came out in support after the White House meetings. Some said Republicans must use any legal and constitutional means available to maintain control of Congress. The discussion is happening as pressure mounts nationwide after the Texas governor considers signing into law redrawn maps that would give the GOP an edge in that state, and California lawmakers ask voters to approve redrawn maps there that would favor Democrats. Federal prosecutors have failed to obtain a felony indictment against a man who was seen on camera hurling a sandwich at a federal law enforcement official in the nation's capital. A person familiar with the matter told the Associated Press. Sean Charles Dunn was arrested on an assault charge after he threw a sub-style sandwich at a Customs and Border Protection agent. A video of Dunn throwing the sandwich went viral, and shortly after he was fired from the Justice Department, where he worked as an international affairs specialist in the department's criminal division. The case is one of the examples of the legal pushback to Trump's law enforcement surge in Washington, which has led to more than 1,000 arrests. It is highly unusual for grand jurors to refuse to return an indictment, And it was once said the prosecutors could persuade a grand jury to indict a ham sandwich. Hell, they couldn't even indict Sean Charles Dunn, let alone the ham sandwich he threw. Of course, then again, the charge was assault with a deli weapon. And as a throwback to a story we covered a few days ago, was York City anti-LGBTQ plus incident a hate crime? Here's what we know so far. York City Police Commissioner Michael Muldrow vowed that investigating hate-fueled violence was a priority in the wake of Friday's alleged attack on a group of LGBTQ plus people in front of the York County Judicial Center. Since then, many residents, including the alleged victims, raised questions about whether hate crime charges may arise from the incident. The answer to that question, however, is not that simple, according to Claire Toomey, Executive Director of the York City Human Rights Commission, which is working with police to review and disseminate information about Friday's incident. It's going to be hard to determine because statewide there are no protections as far as hate crimes for LGBTQ plus people, Toomey said. Pennsylvania's hate crime law and York's city municipal codes do not clearly extend protection to LGBTQ plus people. Some other cities and counties, such as Philadelphia, Allegheny County, Erie County, Lehigh Valley, or Allentown, have passed their own hate crime laws to protect LGBTQ plus people. That inconsistency was noted by the State Attorney General's office. Legal protections for LGBTQ plus persons are still evolving and are not consistent across the state or the country, according to the AG's office website. Funny, the Pennsylvania Equality Project is advocating for that very thing, for hate crimes to be consistent across Pennsylvania. And we've been doing it since 2013. And now, finally, somebody's listening. Well, anyway, that's news at this hour. And if you're watching our news on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. Starting September the 1st, PEP Radio is changing our programming schedule. Details coming later today to our social media. Up next, we have Meadville area weather forecast here on PEP Radio.